What's going on, guys? Austin Sawyer here. Let's talk some reality TV. In this episode, I'm going to be discussing who I think will be the first person voted out of Survivor Game Changers. Now, we have two tribes here, and I really can't determine which tribe is going to be the first one to lose because we've not seen them compete yet, so I'm not even going to try and make a guess. Instead, what I'm going to do is pick one person from each tribe. So, let's start with the Mana tribe. I'm going to go ahead and rule out a couple people who I just don't think it's feasible will go out first. So let's go ahead and rule out Aubrey, Caleb, Haley, Malcolm, Troyzan, and Sierra. I just don't see any of those people going home, and I just wanted to go ahead and get them out of the discussion and discuss who I think has a good chance of going home. Now, who we have left is Tony, Sandra, Mikayla, and Jeff Varner, and they're all here for different reasons. Let's just go ahead and start with Jeff Varner. Jeff Varner is the person I can see going out if Tony ends up getting his way. Tony is really not going to like Jeff Varner, in my opinion, because Varner is just as sneaky as Tony is, and Tony's probably going to see that. And if Tony somehow ends up taking control of this tribe, Jeff's not very good in the challenges for one, so he's going to be a liability in that aspect, and Tony's going to have an easy sell to get him out. So if you're a Jeff Varner fan, you should probably hope that Tony doesn't get control of this tribe. Next up's Mikayla, and the only reason I really have Mikayla on here is because she is the easy vote. If everyone gets scared to death to vote anyone out, they can just vote out Mikayla. Nobody knows who she is, and everyone in their pre-game interviews is saying that they're worried about these players, Zeke and Mikayla, because it's better to deal with the devil that you know than the devil that you don't. So if people are just nervous and want to get the game started, they might just take the easy vote and get out Mikayla because no one really has connections to her. Sandra's in a bad spot. I can't see her and Tony working together, and if they don't, one of them will probably be the first one out, and that's why I have them both on this list. I actually think Sandra is in a bit of a worse situation than Tony because, for one, she's won the game twice, which is incredible, and that's going to scare people. There's been a lot of people in their preseason interviews saying that they want her out first. Plus, she is a liability in the challenges. Sandra has never been good at them, and she doesn't look like she's in much better shape this time. So if they are focusing on challenge strength and the fact that she's a huge threat to win, as we've seen twice, she might be in a world of trouble. And Tony. I really didn't even want to put Tony on this list because I don't even want to speak it, because if I speak it, it might happen and I don't want it to happen. But I would be being unrealistic if I didn't say there was a chance. Tony is the biggest target in this game. You ask any of the fellow game changers who they're afraid of, they will say Tony because Tony is insane. And I'd say if a lot of them got their way, Tony would be the first person out. He's the most dangerous. Yeah, he's good in the challenges, but you don't want someone as frantic as him running around because he could screw up your game like he did for countless people in Cagayan. He also showed that he's not loyal, so if they're going for more of a loyalty over challenge strength kind of thing, Tony could definitely be the guy to go home first. For my final prediction of who will go home first on the Mana tribe, I'm sadly going to have to go with Sandra. I hope that she isn't, because if you watched my top 20 Survivor Game Changers I'm most excited to see list, you'll know she's my number 3 player that I'm most excited to see again. So if she goes home, I will be incredibly sad, but she is in a bad spot, but if anyone can get out of it, Sandra can. Now for the Nuku tribe. Once again, let's go ahead and rule a couple of people out. Andrea, JT, Ozzy, Sarah, Sierra, and Ty. I can't see any of those going home first, so they're out of the discussion already. Who we're left with is Brad, Suri, Debbie, and Zeke. Let's start with Zeke. I think Zeke has a chance of going home first for the same reason I did for Mikayla. Better work with the devil you know than the devil that you don't. But I think Zeke's in a much worse position than Mikayla because Mikayla is an absolute monster in the challenges, while Zeke isn't bad, but he's also not that good. So people are going to see Zeke with his little mischievous villain mustache and think that he's up to something, and if he's not doing much in the challenges, why not vote him out? Next up is Debbie, and do I really even have to say why I'm concerned for Debbie? Debbie is annoying. I love Debbie. You probably love Debbie, but she's annoying. We can't get past that. And if they get annoyed with her, they're gonna vote her off. They don't deal with that kind of crap in All-Star seasons. So hopefully Debbie can tone down her antics so she won't be the first person voted out, because she's actually pretty good in the challenges, and they will probably want to keep her around for that. So is Debbie in that much danger? Yes and no. It really just depends on how she changes up her game. Now let's move on to Suri. Suri is another one that I didn't even want to consider, but the reality is she does have a good chance of going home first just because of her resume. She is so good. But the good thing about Suri is she looks like she is in much better shape this time, so maybe she can hold her own in the challenges, but I can just see a lot of people being scared of Suri, and she actually has a pretty bad draw here. She voted out JT in Survivor Heroes vs. Villains, and she voted out Ozzy in Survivor Micronesia, so both of those players have some beef with her. I honestly don't know why they put her on this tribe. It's a really horrible draw for her. The two people who she would most not want to be on her tribe are on her tribe. So Suri is in a tough position, but please just let her survive the first few votes and get her footing this season. Brad Culpepper. Brad can get on some people's nerves. I think we all know that because we're the Survivor community and we saw how he was received on social media and in Survivor Blood vs. Water. So if Brad gets in there and starts trying to take charge, maybe Ozzy and JT aren't going to really take that well, and they're just going to want to get rid of him because some stuff just doesn't fly in All-Star seasons that would in a regular season. So Brad needs to tone it down or else he might be in some major danger, which I think Brad is going to tone it down, so I'm not that worried, but I had to include him. And now my pick for the Nuku tribe. It was very, very close between Suri and Zeke. But because of Suri's very unfortunate draw, I had to pick her. It's actually kind of funny that I ended up picking Sandra and Suri for this because they're honestly probably the two best players on this entire cast. But that's also what makes them huge threats because I respect them enough to think that people would target them. So that means that their fellow competitors are also going to respect them. And that's very scary. Remember, these are two of the people I would least like to see go home first. So before you hit the dislike button, I don't want them to go home first. It's just what I think might happen. But how wrong do you think that I am? Are your picks any different? Let me know in the comments below. And I guess for now, I'll see you guys later.